Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Maureen and I'm excited that you're here. If it's your first time, don't forget to subscribe. If you like what you hear, also don't forget to press the thumbs up button and the notification bell so that you're notified every time I post a new video. So today I really have no idea what I'm going to be talking about. I've had a lot of topics swirling in my head, but I still haven't picked one. Now this is so unlike me, and I will tell you that it's because there's been just so much going on mentally and emotionally. So I really haven't had time to be still and pick a topic. Okay, so I don't know what I'm going to be talking about. It's like I'm going to be flying off the seam of my pants, literally today. And it's nerve-wracking for me in the sense that I'm someone who likes to prepare a lot. I like to know what I'm going to be talking about and kind of have structure, so to speak. But today's going to be interesting. Anyway, so I think one of the topics that's been on my radar lately is just fear, like overcoming it, living with it. Like, why am I so afraid to do things? Right, so doing things in fear. Now, I'm someone who suffers from a lot of anxiety about a lot of things. There are a lot of things that make me so anxious. Yeah, I don't like speaking in public. Okay, I don't like to drive. Now, that's posed a lot of challenges before, but it's something that I'm learning to do without fear. I don't like heights. I don't like necessarily trying new things. Now, am I always fearful? No. Have I learned to do things afraid? Absolutely. Do I learn things every single time I do something when I'm afraid? Absolutely. Yeah, half the time I ask myself, like, okay, why were you even afraid to do it? Like right now, I'm anxious about riding a bike. Now, I have not ridden a bike in over 20 years. Okay, and my family has decided that they're going to go bike riding. They have been bike riding for a while now, and I've come up with every excuse in the book until like 2 weeks ago. I was like, okay, no, this is crazy. I'm just gonna get a bike. So I got a bike. It was delivered last week. My husband put it all together, tested it out, and then last weekend it was like, okay, let's go bike riding. Now, was I excited about it? No. Was everybody around me excited? Absolutely. daughter was even showing me how she's going to teach me how to ride a bike in case I didn't remember. Yeah, so we all got into the car. We drove to where we're supposed to go on a bike trail, and lo and behold, we couldn't find the park. Now, was I disappointed? No, I really wasn't. I was kind of relieved, right? Everybody else was kind of disappointed, but I was like, okay, maybe it's a sign. I shouldn't be bike riding at my age. So we ended up going on a hike, but I still have to ride that bike. Now, today's the day, right? We found another bike trail. So I'm going bike riding today. Now, am I actually afraid of riding the bike? No, that's not where my fear lies, right? My fear lies in not doing it right, failing at it, and having my kids watch me fail. Now, as a parent, I know that this is a good teaching moment, right? Because I'm always teaching my kids not to let fear run their lives, that they should learn to do things afraid. That courage is not the absence of fear, but doing things in spite of fear. All right. So that's going to be very interesting because I have to do what I'm preaching, right? As a parent, you don't want to be a hypocrite, because if there's one thing I've learned is more is caught than taught. Like, our kids are constantly watching, right? And if you do anything contrary to what you're telling them, they're not afraid to challenge you about it. They're not afraid to say it out loud. And so, no excuses for this mama. All right, so today I'm going bike riding. Yay! I will tell you all how that goes. Right, so just learning to do things in fear. Now, as I said, having kids, it puts a lot of things to the forefront. At least for me, like when I watch my kids do things that I would not dare even think of doing because of fear, I have to stop and question myself. Right? And when I see my kids being afraid of something, I have to teach them to be courageous. Now, how do you do that when you yourself are fearful? Now, I've also learned to not hold them back because of my own fears, which is something I'm constantly struggling with. Like, we went to a water park, and my kids love the slides, those high, long, twisty water slides. Now, I don't like them. I don't like how fast I go. I don't like how high they are. I would just rather not. I'm the kind of person who is happy in the lazy river or in the wave pool. I could do that for hours and be totally happy. Not my kids. Okay. No. Now, my 4-year-old, she's a bit of a risk taker. She loves doing things that her older brother does. I mean, he's 10. So we went to the water park, and my son likes to go on the slides, on the high slides. Now, normally what happens is we split up. My husband goes with my daughter, and I hang out with my son. Because of the age difference, they generally like different things. But this time around, I saw my daughter with my husband on this line to go on one of the slides, and in my head I'm like, what is he doing? Like, does he not know that she is 4? Like, she is going to freak out. Now, she went up, and the thing is, when you go on this, like when you have to go down, you can't, you have to go one at a time. So she had to go down by herself, and she loved it. She enjoyed it. She kept going on the higher and higher and higher slides. And if I had not seen it with my own eyes, I would not have believed it, right? If I had been with her and she had asked me to do one of the slides, I would have basically told her, no, you're too young. It's not for your age. But she went and she did it, and she loved it. Now, we had to switch. Okay, my son had to go with my husband, and I had to like hang out with my daughter for a bit. Now, with my son, it's easy to convince him to go by himself, right? He's old enough, and I'm basically telling him at times, like, look, I don't enjoy it. So yeah, you can go by yourself, and he's fine. Now, with my daughter, I can't let her go by herself. She's 4. Now, I was forced to go on the slides. And generally, she would go first, right? So she would go down first, and I'll be like up there, like watching her and thinking, oh my God, I have to follow down. So I did it for a couple of, slides, and she wanted to go to the highest one. And I did it, but I was not happy about it. Okay, as soon as my husband came back, I was like, yeah, we're switching back. You can get your daughter. I'm not doing this anymore. All right, but it just taught me something in that moment, that I can't hold my kids back because of my own fear. Like, where's the balance? I need to find that balance between letting them be their own person, their own people, letting them figure out like what they can and cannot do. And I can't let my own fear hold them back. All right. I don't want them to grow up with my anxieties and my fears. I don't want them to try out new things because I'm afraid. Now, that means I have to do things afraid. That means I have to try things out. Does that mean I have to try everything? No. There's some things where I'm like, I love you, but I need more time. Like, to think through this. I need more time to get my mind right. I can't do it right now. Right. And I've learned that it's okay to let your kids know. Right. They need to know the real you. You can't always be like super mommy. It's okay to show weakness, so to speak. It's okay not to be perfect, and it's okay to be afraid. Now, the lesson should be how you handle that. Okay. I mean, as a parent, there are times when you do not have time to be afraid. I've found myself in situations where one of my kids is hurt and it looks bad, but I do not have time to like roll up into a ball in a corner and cry or feel sorry for myself. I don't have that luxury. I have to act, and I have to act right away. And when your kids are afraid, you have to give them strength. Like, you can't be fearful in that moment. Okay, you have to muster up some courage so that they are okay. Is it always easy? No, it's not. I have to be conscious about it. Now, does it mean I get to break down later? absolutely. You know, when I've made sure they're okay, they're taken care of, and in the privacy of, you know, my bedroom with my husband, yes, I can break down, right, and cry my eyes out. You know, but in that moment, I can't do that. I do not have the luxury of breaking down because they need me. So I've done crazy things in the moment, but with kids, I mean, kids always get themselves into trouble. So just learning to not be fearful, not not even just not being fearful, but doing things while you're fearful. Um, Helps. Okay. And then one of my other like big fears, well, I can't necessarily call it a big fear, but more like an, an anxiety, so to speak. Um, I do not like to drive. I am anxious when I drive. Now, yes, no, does it happen all the time? No, but if I haven't driven in a bit, like, you know, with the pandemic and everything, like there was a time when I did not drive for months on end. And when I finally got in my car, it felt like I was driving for the first time. I remember I took my driver's license late because of that fear of getting into the car, and I had to ask myself, like, where does this fear come from? And it really is from trauma. Like, I've had a lot of near misses with cars. Like, I can't even count the number of times where I was almost run over. I've been in like basically a car accident. I've I've watched someone being run over by a car that was in, and that person um, unfortunately did make it. So there was a lot of trauma around cars for me, and it took me a long time. I remember, like, when I would have my driving lesson, you know, the instructor would come, like pick me up, right? But before that, like hours, in fact, at times days before that, I would have really high anxiety, and it would get worse and worse. Like the hour before, I would literally be like bawling and crying because I was just so anxious, you know, and I didn't know how to handle it. Like, and before I had kids, it was okay for me not to drive, right? Because I really didn't have anywhere to go, and I was okay. I mean, if I wanted to go somewhere, I would make a plan. Okay. Now after kids, it doesn't really work because one, you have to drive everywhere, and two, emergencies happen. Now, when you have an emergency with a child, the last thing you want to be thinking of is, how am I going to get to an emergency room, okay, or the doctor's office? It doesn't work. So I was forced to do it. And so I would, before my lessons, I would be in a corner, I would cry. And sadly, I'm one of those people where when I am anxious, my body takes over. Okay. Now, when your body takes over, it's kind of hard to shut it down. Even if when you've convinced yourself that you're now okay, it's hard. so so I would be crying, and then 5 minutes before my lesson, I would wipe my tears and get into the driver's seat and drive. Okay, so that's basically what happened for the for the months. Well, I don't think it took me months, but for the time that I had my lessons, and I went got my driver's license, and part of me is like, are they sure they want to give me a license? And every time I would get into my car after that, the first thing I would do is I would pray. Like, I would be praying the whole time. Okay. I still do it now. Like, if I'm feeling anxious, or if I just need to drive somewhere and I haven't driven in a while, yeah, I'll be praying. Yeah, just for that courage. And yeah, and if I'm going somewhere new that I haven't been before, the anxiety shoots up. But I've learned to do things afraid. Now, I could go on and on and on about the things I'm fearful about, but I won't. So, what are the things that you're fearful of? Why are you fearful of those things? And what have you done to kind of combat that fear? Yeah. Have you learned to do things afraid? Because at times things just needing to be done, and the only way we grow is by actually conquering our fears. So, what are you doing to conquer your fears? I, I for one, pray. I pray a lot, and I know that God did not give me a spirit of fear, right? So, I constantly have to remind myself that yes, I might be afraid, but that's not who God wants me to be. He doesn't want me to be fearful. All right, so I get my strength from that, and I do what I need to do. Now, does it mean I always do it? No. But now more than ever, I've learned to do things afraid. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you take time to figure out what you're afraid of and why you're fearful, and how to go around it. Until next time, take care.